In the blood-stained annals of boxing history, few names evoke the mix of awe, respect, and dread that Naoya the Monster Inoue commands today. His rise was never just about wins or belts. It wasn't merely about moving up weight classes or padding an undefeated record. No, Inoue's ascent has been a deliberate, merciless march to exercise disrespect, rewrite narratives, and redefine what a warrior from Japan could be in the unforgiving arena of global pugilism. With each clash, with each knockout, he silenced skeptics, punished mockery, and fought with an almost divine fury, as if every punch was a sentence against those who dared to doubt his worth. From the beginning, Inoue was cast in the shadows by Western pundits who viewed him as a skilled but regional talent, dangerous in Asia perhaps, but untested on the global battlefield. They viewed his accolades with suspicion, his knockouts with caveats. Let's see how he does against real champions, they said. Let's see if he can handle the pressure of fighting abroad. What they didn't see, what they refused to acknowledge, was that Inoue was not just preparing to win titles. He was preparing for war, against doubt, against prejudice, against the sheer arrogance that too often permeates the fight game. It began with his breakout at bantamweight, a division filled with skilled contenders, but not a weight class that typically drew global headlines. That changed when he stepped into the ring with Jaime McDonnell in 2018. McDonnell, the towering Brit with a significant reach and height advantage, came in confident. He represented everything the Western boxing world clung to, the belief that fighters from smaller nations or non-American systems couldn't compete at the highest levels. McDonnell laughed off Inoue's power in pre-fight interviews, even mocking the idea that a Japanese fighter could stop him. But when the bell rang, it was not a contest. It was an execution. Inoue blitzed McDonnell, dropping him with a body shot that echoed like a drumbeat across the Tokyo Hall. Less than 2 minutes into the first round, the fight was over. Inoue had not just knocked out an opponent. He had issued a warning to the world. That victory wasn't just symbolic. It was deeply personal. Japanese boxing had long been plagued by questions about its international viability. Inoue carried more than gloves into that ring. He carried the burden of an entire nation's pride. McDonnell was the first to fall, but he wouldn't be the last. Next came his violent U.S. debut, a test not just of skill, but of aura. Fighting outside of Asia meant facing a new breed of scrutiny. The opponent? A Cleveland native fighter, who embodied American grit and swagger. Once again, the whispers began. Inoue hasn't fought anyone real. Let's see how he handles pressure in front of a foreign crowd. Inoue didn't just pass the test. He obliterated it. The fight was over before it ever began. He walked through his opponent, landing with such savagery and precision that it felt less like a sporting event and more like a public reckoning. The Cleveland fighter came in with defiance, but left battered, broken, and quiet. Inoue's silence spoke volumes. He had arrived, and he was not to be trifled with. But the real turning point, the moment where the monster became a global myth, came in his war against Emmanuel Rodriguez. The Puerto Rican was undefeated, known for his granite, chin, and relentless pace. More than that, Rodriguez had dismissed Inoue's team during fight week. He called them overrated, questioned their strategy, and smirked at Inoue's resume. Disrespect, again, reared its head. And Inoue, again, responded not with words, but with unrelenting punishment. In the second round, Inoue uncorked a combination that shattered Rodriguez's confidence and body alike. He knocked the champion down multiple times in a matter of seconds, each blow a symphony of speed and power. The final sequence saw Rodriguez flailing helplessly as the referee waved it off. It wasn't just a win. It was a message etched in blood and bone. What separated Inoue from other champions wasn't just his power. It was his precision, the way he moved, the angles he created, and the calm he maintained even in chaos. Watching Inoue was like watching a master painter in a hurricane. Chaos all around, but a masterpiece forming in real time. His body shots were surgical. His timing was godlike, and his fury was never wild. It was cold, calculated, and final. But Inoue wasn't content. He never is. With bantamweight thoroughly conquered, he did what few dared. He moved up to super bantamweight to face one of the slickest fighters in the game, Stephen Fulton. The American champion was a defensive genius, a boxer's boxer with 2 belts and an undefeated record. Many believed this would finally be the fight to humble Inoue. Fulton, they said, would frustrate him with movement, outpoint him with speed, and expose the holes in the monster's style. What happened instead was a masterpiece of control and dominance. From the opening bell, Inoue dictated pace, distance, and rhythm. Fulton's footwork was nullified. His jabs found nothing but air, and in the 8th round, Inoue landed a crushing right hand followed by a blistering flurry that left Fulton on the canvas, eyes blank, legacy rewritten. The so-called technician was dismantled by a better technician. Inoue had once again turned a supposed chess match into a demolition job, and then came the firestorm. Luis Neri, the disgraced Mexican, the heel of the story. A fighter banned from Japanese rings after his doping scandal and controversial victories over beloved Japanese champion Shinsuke Yamanaka. Neri wasn't just an opponent. He was a symbol of humiliation for Japanese boxing. His name carried scars. And when he was finally allowed to return, this time to face Inoue in the biggest event ever hosted at the Tokyo Dome, the atmosphere was biblical. It wasn't just a fight. It was redemption, revenge, a reckoning long overdue. Shockingly, Neri dropped Inoue in the 1st round. For a moment, the world gasped. Was this the moment the monster would fall? Would his myth finally crack? But what happened next only added to his legend. Inoue rose calmly, not with panic, not with haste, but with the slow, cold composure of a man awakening. And then he began the hunt. Round by round, he stalked Neri, dismantling him with methodical violence. He went to the body, then the head, each shot robbing Neri of defiance. The knockdowns came like thunderclaps, 1, 2, 3, until the final right hand landed with terrifying finality, crumpling Neri to the canvas. The crowd erupted, not just in celebration but in catharsis. Inoue had not just won, he had cleansed the stain. He had avenged Yamanaka, avenged the pride of Japanese boxing, and done so with poetic brutality. But Inoue's path to greatness isn't just paved with elite opponents and brutal victories. It stretches further, back to the early days, to fights that built the monster before the world was watching. His destruction of Warland Piranha was a glimpse into the ferocity that would later terrify champions. Back then, Inoue was still raw, still learning, but the intent was already there. He didn't just fight to win. He fought to dominate. Piranha, like many after him, walked into the ring believing he had a chance. He left with shattered ribs and a blank stare. From that fight onward, Inoue's reputation began to spread, not just as a skilled fighter but as a destroyer. A cold, unrelenting executioner whose face betrayed no emotion as he delivered career-altering beatings. That coldness, that absence of theatrics, is perhaps Inoue's greatest weapon. He doesn't bark in press conferences. He doesn't trade insults on Twitter. He doesn't flash wealth or throw tantrums. Instead, he walks quietly, carries national pride with honor, and speaks through destruction. His fists are his language. And in that language, every syllable is pain. Every sentence is a statement, every paragraph is legacy. He doesn't just win. He rewrites the memory of every opponent. Fighters who mocked his size, his heritage, and his reach, they all end up with the same look in their eyes, confusion followed by terror and finally defeat. Inoue doesn't chase applause. He chases perfection. And in the ring, he comes close to touching it, again and again. There's a reason his fights aren't just watched, they're revered. To witness Inoue is to witness control in its purest form. It's watching a storm arrive in silence, flatten everything, and leave with not a leaf out of place. He doesn't need chaos to win. He is the calm that brings chaos. And for those who still question his greatness, who still hang on to old biases or nostalgia for faded champions, Inoue offers no debate. only consequences. His legacy now stretches across divisions and continents. He's unified titles, shattered records, and become the standard by which greatness is measured in modern boxing. And yet, his hunger remains. There's always another belt, another name, another insult to answer. For Inoue, every fight is personal, not out of ego, but out of duty. He fights not just for himself, but for a nation, for a history, and for a future where fighters from anywhere, regardless of heritage, are seen and respected for their skill, not their passport. Inoue is the warrior Japan never asked for, but desperately needed. A quiet killer whose every bout is a silent anthem of retribution. As he continues to climb, eyeing new divisions and greater glory, one thing remains absolutely certain. The monster is not done, and for anyone who still dares to doubt him, their reckoning is already written, in fists, in pain, and in the pages of history that he continues to author with every devastating blow.